We can start whenever you're ready, Miss Chen.
About a year ago, not long after we broke up, I've lost the urge to eat anything. But I'm a food editor. It's my job to eat.
Hi, my name is Angel Lee.
She is huge in China.
Some writer wants me to read for his script. 如果我要是离婚的话，你会娶我吗？
你不觉得我们现在蛮好的吗？只有我们两个人。
Nina Wong, working late again tonight.
And nice guys don't mix with girls like us.
I don't want you working at the KTV anymore. It's not good for you.
Why do you care so much about me, Ian?
You know why?
Would you choose love or freedom? 我这辈子没做过什么好事，可是也没做过什么伤天害理的坏事，除了遇到你。
I convinced myself that time would heal all wounds and fix my mistakes. I realized the need to live my own life, not what my parents or society envisions me to be. This is what I really want, to be true to myself.
Hello and welcome to the 206. My name is Mark, as always, coming to you from Seattle, Washington, and this is the Changing Directions Filmmaker interview series. Joining me for this conversation is Celia Au, Amy Chang, and Yi Liu, all here to talk about their movie In a New York Minute, which is now available on digital formats for anywhere any format that you prefer. Ladies, welcome to the 206.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for being here. Now, In a New York Minute is the story of three women who are each dealing with very unique struggles, and yet they're all connected in so many ways as well. So, Amy, your character is kind of presented at the beginning of the movie, so we'll start with you. When you first came across this story, what was the first thing that grabbed your attention about it?
The very first thing was probably the name, because the character's name is Amy Chen, Chen, and my name is Amy Chang, Chang. So it's kind of like, No, actually, though, the first thing that grabbed my attention was the fact that it had three Asian American female leads.
Yeah.
That at the time was basically unheard of, especially for a feature film. And when I read the breakdowns of the different characters, I was immediately intrigued and knew that I wanted to be a part of this project.
Oh, that's amazing. And Celia, your thoughts on that?
Well, when I first read the project and synopsis, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting, like a different approach to, female escorts, especially like throughout like Asian American history, we're always seen as like, the prostitute and whatever in these parts. And this one actually has depth, and you see the backstory. And I love stories that, you can empathize with the character and shows a different side of humanity and stuff, and not judging a book by its cover. So that was one thing that I was like, oh, this is awesome. It's like all three of these characters have all of that.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And then Yi, how about you? Your thoughts on your first impressions of this story?
I really love the structure of the story, three different stories, but yet tied suddenly together. And I love that there are three different stories and three very different women. And then yet they're pursuing love and freedom. So I really love the story. And I feel I resonate with Angel Lee so much. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Thank you. No, I totally agree with you about what all three of you have said about the characters and the story. And what was really impressive for me is this movie is, if I'm saying her name right, Ziman Li, it's her first feature film, both as a writer and a director. So what is something that stood out to you, to each of you, about who she is as a writer and a filmmaker?
I think for me, Mandy, which is how we how we speak about her, how we address her, that Mandy has a very strong, grounded energy. She was careful about her words. So she wouldn't necessarily talk a lot, but when she spoke, you listened. And I really appreciated that energy about her, because I just felt instantly comfortable whenever I was working with her on set.
Oh, that's
I
amazing.
think Amy's also very sensitive to how we all work, and she want to make sure that she can communicate with us and like, hey, UK, I just want to make sure you guys feel good, comfortable, cool, let's move on and we can do this next scene. I feel like, for a young new director and a writer, a lot of them, I feel like, I realized like from our younger directors recently, they learn filming in a way very technically. So I feel Mandy knows how to communicate and talk to actors and try to understand where everyone's coming from and be like, hey, is this okay? We want to play this way. What are your suggestions too? Like, how can we make this better together as a team? Which is, I think, it's an amazing, it's collaborative. And I think, in filmmaking, it's a teamwork and from all departments.
Oh, that's great. I like the idea of the collaborative process there, because it gives you, all three of you, a chance to really express your voices and opinions on the character as well. Thank you. And then Yi, your thoughts on the director?
Yeah, I think she always knows what she wants, and she has a very clear vision of the film, of the character. So I feel it's very effective to communicate with her. And also, she does give us a chance to have some input in the process. She's very responsive with text message. I mean, we all have different job to do. Like if she's working with other actors and I'm rehearsing with someone else and I got a question, I can't really see her, but then I text her, she would respond right away.
Well, yeah, that kind of leads into my next question. So Yi, will stick with you here. One of the unique things for me about this story is how your characters rarely interact on screen. So did you kind of mention that as far as like the text messaging in different spots, but did the three of you get to do much together other than those, brief scenes where you cross paths or sit together for a minute? Or was it more like each of you were making your own movie that was then woven together?
I think we have a lot of interaction off the camera, but a lot of fun. Yes, on set, indeed, we don't have much scenes together except the photo and maybe in the KTV. But at least I feel that I'm always aware that they are there, but in a different setup, different scenario. Kind of aware that everybody has a life kind of feeling. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you.
He said it perfectly. I mean, there's days that we were all there together, but not necessarily we have like sharing scenes and stuff. And a little like quiz, I mean, not quiz, but a little fun fact. Amy, Yi, and I are friends prior to this film.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
I remember the pho day, like I usually present myself like a little bit more like a tomboy, and then both Yi and Amy looked at me and like, yeah, and then there's like, it's definitely fun. Like we try to like go out and eat like lunch while if we're always together on set and like hang out with each other. Even though there's like a small crossover from each of these characters in the film, we already have an established relationship as just friends. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Tagging on to what Celia is saying, I think that translated into how it was on set overall. Partly because the Asian American community, acting community in New York is a pretty, I would say it's grown to be a really strong network. Like we all kind of like know of each other, not all obviously, but like a lot of us do know of each other, and Celia and Yi and I all knew each other beforehand. And so that already lent us a certain level of comfort. And then because you're comfortable, you're willing to be more vulnerable while you're on set. And then with the crew too, I also wanted to bring in that it was primarily the departments were primarily led by females. And so that also gave another layer of comfort and trust to our ability to create. which was something I really appreciated about this set.
No, I love that, and thank you for bringing that up. And that's a nice transition to my next question as well, but about which talks about representation. And to me, representation in film and all types of media is just so important. And your movie highlights these three Asian women in such a thoughtful and authentic way. So, and then you're also talking about the behind the scenes of the people making the movie. So that adds even more layers to that texture as well. So what does it mean for each of you to play these characters and for their stories to be available for anyone to watch at this point?
Who wants to go first? All right, I can go first. For me, like I've said in other interviews that these stories are universal stories. It's human stories, right? And not judging a book by its cover, being able to dive deeply into these characters and knowing their backstory and their struggle is quite important. So next time, maybe when we meet these people in real life, we'll be like, okay, we can understand that they have a lot more struggle than just judging by what they are. And you can pluck all of our characters out and replace them in with different people from different ethnicity. Now, the cool thing is people have never done that for Asian Americans, right? We don't have a lot of stories about our side, right? And then they don't see our struggles actually quite similar to other people. I think relatively easy that you can just put in a Caucasian actor into this, and make it a Caucasian storyline, Hispanic, Black, and it will still all translate. So I think that's the beauty of storytelling. And it didn't seem our faces telling these stories are like, oh wait, they're not just like the studious, student, not just the best friend. They're characters with depth. And Amy can elaborate on it more, but she was saying there's also little cultural nuances that makes it special.
Sure.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I also really appreciated the authenticity of these characters. So for me, playing Amy Chen, she's an American-born Chinese. Her parents immigrated to San Francisco, and that's where she was born and she grew up. And for me, I personally grew up was born in Taiwan, but my family moved to the U.S. when I was 4. But I was my parents were very much about immersing me in American culture and wanting to be American at that time, what that meant, right? And so I really love the scenes where she's speaking to her mom. She's played by Chang Pei, and her mom is speaking to her in Mandarin, but then she's responding in English. And I felt that was a very authentic portrayal. And I love that in the film, you see all these different relationships where Yi is speaking to her lover, Lu Di Lin, played by Lu Di Lin, who in Mandarin, but then she also speaks to her husband in English. And so it's just kind of these different ways that we interact with people in our lives. And I feel like that's something that you don't see a lot of right now in media, and definitely with Asian and Asian American stories. It is something that resonates.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And Yi, what do you have to add on that?
Yeah, I can share, there's a real life experience I have that I can share with you guys. I was born and raised in China, and before I came to New York, I had no experience with the US, and all I know is from film and TV. And I remember when I first got here, my feeling is that US is not as white as it seemed. And so all this impression I got is from film and TV. And so today I think we're advocating diversity in our representation. It's only truthful and authentic to reflect our society.
No, that's a really great point. And that's why I say earlier, it's so important to have representation in film and other forms of media, because, somebody like yourself coming in, you have this one vision of what life is going to be like, and all of a sudden it's completely different. So that's brilliant. Thank you for adding that in. And Amy, I want to go back to what you were saying about this community of Asian filmmakers and people in that industry. So who, and each of you can answer this as well, but we'll go back to you first. Who is someone within that industry, or within that circle, I should say, that has had a primary influence on your own career?
So I'll have to give a shout out to our casting director, Wayne Chang. He's kind of, I think somebody described him as a unofficial godfather of the Asian American acting community, in that he knows a lot of people, and he, I think, especially with these up and coming Asian American filmmakers that are coming out of Columbia and out of NYU Tisch and all these other programs in New York, they refer him. And so he's grown to know a lot of the new and fresh talent, but then he also knows I don't want to say old guard, but like those of us who have been around a little bit longer, right? So because of that, I think he has an extensive network, and he was able to bring all of us together for this film and for other projects. And he's also an actor himself. So I've actually, he's played my husband and he's played my father-in-law. And that's also an interesting thing about this small, close-knit Asian American Asian acting community, is that we all have very complicated relationships with each other because of the different characters we've played.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And Yi, who would be a big influence for you?
Actually, I grew up, I was born and raised in China. I watch a lot of Asian cinema. And however, I was an actor. I was also young, and now I grew up and I started to learn people's paths. And I realized what they did back then was really not easy. I'd say Michelle Yeoh, and I watch a lot of her movies, and I see that she's truly international star, united all the audiences, and I feel like really touched by this. I caught up with a lot of her interviews, and really like recently started to like have more admiration and respect for what they did.
Oh, that's amazing. I think if you're going to have somebody that you use as a role model, I don't think you could ask for somebody better than Michelle Yeoh for what she's accomplished in her career, even to this day, her movie that's out right now. And so Celia, let's bring that to you, since you have a lot of experience within that kind of same martial arts world and the acting world and all of that. You could easily say Michelle Yeoh, but I need you to come up with another name.
She's a badass. Like, I mean, like what Amy said, like Wayne was like one of my first friends I've met in the industry. You know, Michelle, I grew up watching her as well, and I am nowhere near as badass as Michelle Yeoh. But as like a kid growing up in America, though, my influence was the Yellow Power Ranger, Trinity, because she kicked ass and she was Asian. She's a female. You know, I remember like running home to go watch the Power Rangers and be like, yeah, I can, like, we defeat monsters and whatever, you know, and she's like the cool kid in school, whatever. They're like part of this group of friends. You know, I look up to that. Like, that was like a big influence in my life, and like kind of like a representation. Right. And then like definitely like people that paved the way for us, like Lucy Liu, Sandra Oh, you know, like Ming Na, they paved the road for us to have what we can have today, because it was 10 times harder, if not more, for them in the industry. And they have proven that we are a market, we can act, we can sell tickets. And then in comes like Crazy Rich Asians, and all these movies are now like kicking down the barriers for us, so that we can have the space to tell an indie film, and people would actually put an indie film and distribute it. You know how hard it is to get an indie film distribution. It's and an Asian American storyline as well. And I think thanks to everyone from before, you know, our female champions, Daniel Day Kims, you know, everyone that basically paved the road where we can have the opportunities to do what we do now.
Oh yeah, those are some amazing examples. Thank you. I'm sorry, what you were wanting to add something there?
I was just going to say, standing on the shoulders of those who have come before us and being so appreciative for all the battles that they've fought and that we need to continue to fight.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, speaking of fighting battles, and Celia, I'm not going to let go of that. You are actually a badass on screen. Now, I have to mention that you were in the Marvel Netflix series Iron Fist. Now, just for an episode, but the Iron Fist series was recently been moved from Netflix to Disney Plus and confirmed as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that being said, when can we expect to see your character Mary pop up again in future Marvel projects?
I have no idea. That was just a part in Iron Fist, but the cool thing, like I shot Iron Fist quite a long time ago, and this is before in a New York Minute, before any of this. And our director of the episode, she's also an Asian female. You know, Jess is Asian, I'm Asian, and she goes, one day she was standing there, she goes, how amazing it is that we have an Asian hero, an Asian villain, an Asian director. I'm like, yes. And she's like, and we're all females. And I'm like, yes. And like Deborah's went on doing like Star Wars and Obi-Wan and The Mandalorian and stuff, and she's dope. I don't know. I want to be like either a superhero or a super villain in a Marvel universe. So maybe a different character.
right, yeah. Because we don't actually know what happened to your character in that episode by the end of it, but so you could come back as her, or you could come back as somebody else. And with Marvel now, with the multiverse, the possibilities are endless. But so thank you. But yeah, thank you for indulging me in that. I just had to throw that in there. But yeah, but back to the topic at hand here. So not an easy transition here, but I want to talk about mental health, because mental health is something that's very important to me as far as awareness and communication. And watching the movie, each of your characters has very specific challenges when it comes to mental health, and all of it is put on screen in what I thought was a very authentic way. So is that something that each of you were really mindful of as you prepared yourself for these roles? And can you talk about that aspect of the filmmaking process?
Everyone's like just smiling. I mean, I'll tell you, I'll come from my perspective. Like, I think in acting, you delve into these characters, you try to understand what they're thinking, what they're going through, right? And their struggles. And you see Nina basically trying to be strong the whole time until she broke down. Like, you know, because everything like just stacked, layered up and up and up. And I think it's important. I don't think, you know, consciously I was like, okay, what's the mental state of the of Nina? But I was like, I know what the character is going through, what she's feeling, you know. I didn't really like consciously be like, okay, there's like these mental health things that she's dealing with, but more like, what is this character feeling? What is she's dealing with this moment and her struggles? And I do believe that if someone else in kind of the same realm are having that struggle with me, with the Nina character watching this, like, oh, I don't feel so alone. I don't feel like I cannot talk about what I'm going through because these characters are now portrayed and I feel hurt and I feel seen. So I hope that, you know, for people that are struggling, they don't feel like they can't talk to anybody and they can see someone on screen, and then I'm talking about empathy, right? When they're talking to their friends or something, or their loved ones, there's more empathy, and I'm like, okay, I understand what you're going through. Like, these films have set examples and, you know, their struggles, and maybe, you know, they're not willing to talk about it yet, but when they do, you know, there will be understanding, and everyone can sit down and listen and talk about these struggles without feeling like they have to hide themselves.
I love that. Thank you. And Yi or Amy, anything to add on to that?
Yeah, I think Anjali was in a marriage and have an affair. I think it's not a good position for her to be in. Like Celia said, is that I don't judge her, but I do feel torn when I play this character, because I think it's happy for everybody and most people that to be full-hearted in love and in love with their family, husband, lover. But when you don't have them together, it's not a great position to be in. And but in the end, like the movie, I feel the solution is in our hands. We'll find the solution eventually, but we will go through a dark phase, perhaps.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you.
And then I'll say for Amy, I thought I really appreciate the opportunity to depict what she was struggling with, because I think a lot of times, not a lot of times, let me try this again. The way that eating disorders might be portrayed in films, it tends to be focused on women who are focused on their looks or on wanting to fit a certain image that they think society is pushing on them. And in Amy's case, it was actually a manifestation of the trauma that she wasn't resolving within herself about a past breakup. And so it was just a different perspective on that aspect of her mental health that I don't think is showcased a lot. That her body was basically telling her that this was something that she needed to deal with. And by resisting it led to her not being able to eat, which was so crucial to her career. So obviously it was affecting other aspects of her life. So I was really sensitive to that, and just appreciated that this was a depiction that was being shown.
Oh yeah, I love that. Thank you for going into that. Now, final question, and I know we're short on time, so hang with me here, but final question is, when you look back at the entire experience of making this movie, what's the first thing that comes to mind that makes you feel gratitude?
And gratitude. I feel like just everything that happened in the film, like, I'm so grateful, like Amy was saying, mostly female head of department. It's something that's like at that time when we shot it has not really been seen much. Also, like, our DP is such a badass, and she basically, I'm not sure if you've noticed this, Mark, but in the film, all three storylines have a slight different way of camera movement.
Yeah. Oh,
and to portray how these characters are dealing and they're feeling at the same time. I think I'm so grateful for all the friendship I've made in this film off screen, because we have such a good bond, and we literally have a group text right now that's going on constantly with our cast and crew, like our director, our DP, our producers, like, hey, have you seen this? Hey, what have you been doing, guys? Like, whenever we're in town now, like, they're like, all right, let's meet up dinner. When they're in town in New York, they're like, well, what are you guys doing? Let's meet up. And I think I'm so grateful for the friendship we've built from this film.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you.
I would definitely second that. Just the sense of community and family, I would say, extend it to that, because I just filmmaking is such a hectic and hurried process, and especially indie filmmaking, you have a limited amount of time and energy and people's availabilities, and to try to all come together to make something that when so many people feel passionate about it too, it just was this really beautiful combination of elements and individuals. Just like the everybody on set was just so generous and loving towards each other, I want to say. So I just really appreciated that, and that stays with me. It stayed with me throughout all of this process.
They said it all. I appreciate, grateful for the opportunity to play Anjali, because I really resonate with her. And besides the movie that we can watch now is a friendship that we built from set and to today's day and in the future.
No, that's amazing. Thank you. Now, ladies, I'm grateful for having the opportunity to speak with you about the movie. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and speaking with you today. So just thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, the movie is in a New York Minute. This is Celia Au, Amy Chang, and Yi Liu. My name is Mark, and this is the 206 Changing Directions Filmmaker Interview Series. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and also check out 206.com, the official home of all content from the 206. Thank you so much. Be safe, and see you next time.